Hi, everybody. My name is Nneka Edwards, and welcome to Big People Talk. I'll be giving a quick explanation about the pronunciation of my name. A lot of people ask me, how is your name pronounced? And, I always give the same explanation. So I think I'll just do it in this video so that, I won't have to repeat myself as often. I appreciate the question and I actually don't mind it really because what people are actually saying when they ask me that question is, I respect you enough to want to get your name right. So people call me many things. Some people call me Nanika, some call me Nika. Very close friends or family would call me Neeks. That's my nickname, but that's for people who are close to me. So when I was born, my parents decided to give me a name from the African continent, an African name. My name is Nigerian, but I am not Nigerian. I'm actually both Canadian and Trinidadian. Um, I was born in Canada during the Black Power movement. I was born in 1974, so I'm giving my age away there. But my parents wanted to give me a name that would have given me a really strong sense of cultural identity or maybe more ethnic identity if it so worked out that I grew up in Canada. As fate would have it, I actually grew up in Trinidad and Tobago. My parents called me Nanika. My sisters called me Nanika, but they also gave me the nickname Neeks. So when I was younger, excuse me. So when I was younger, I started noting certain patterns with my family. When everything was well and fine, they would call me Neeks. But if they were angry with me about something, or if I was going to get buffed, which is dialect or Trini English, that means reprimanded. If I was going to get buffed, maybe because you have more energy to expend when you're annoyed, they used to call me Nanika. So if I heard somebody calling me Nanika, 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 then sometimes I didn't answer because I knew what I was in for, right? So they started kind of picking up on that. And so if they wanted to trick me, they would say, hey, Neeks. And then I would get my buff, right? But my family calls me both Nanika and Neeks, usually more Neeks, because that's my nickname. That's for close friends and my family. Some people simply call me Nika because they find the double N a little difficult to deal with. So instead of saying Nanika, Nanika, as if you have a stammer, right? They would say Nika. I remember now I have to say I'm not particularly fussy about my name as long as you're not being disrespectful. Then I don't make a fuss about how people pronounce my name. I understand that it's, in some places it would be an unusual name, so people really would know how to pronounce it. So I really feel like sometimes when people get kind of testy about their names, sometimes I find people a little unreasonable because if you have an unusual name, then obviously people are going to be more prone to mispronouncing it. So you really have to be, I think, a little more. I think sometimes people need to be a little more reasonable and patient and merciful where that's concerned. Now, I remember when I lived in Korea, when I was studying in Korea, doing my master's in international cooperation, I had won a scholarship. And because of that, I was able to study in Korea. Thankfully, throughout the course of my life, I've won about 3 different scholarships, one to Canada, one to Taiwan, and one to South Korea. And thankfully, this is how I have, this is how God provided, apart from some help from my parents to some extent, and allowed me to fund my education. But for the most part, I won a lot of scholarships, and I'm really grateful for that and very grateful to God. But anyway, when I lived in Korea, when I was studying in Korea, I remember that I had a professor, Lee Jung-hoon. I will never forget his name. And he could not pronounce my name. He always called me Nneka, which is the most unusual pronunciation of my name that I've ever heard. But I never corrected him because I enjoyed it so much. Maybe it's a linguist in me. I don't know. It didn't bother me. I enjoyed that he got my name wrong. I thought it was funny. And I know like some of my other friends, like my classmates, thought it was hilarious. So I didn't correct him because I enjoyed it. But as I mentioned, my name is Nigerian. I believe it's from the Igbo tribe, or yes, I think the Igbo tribe. Somebody told me recently. And now my name is spelled Nneka. And apparently in Nigeria, or maybe in that particular tribe, when you have a name that starts with NN, it usually has something to do with mother. I remember I had a schoolmate from Nigeria, and her name was Nnenna, Nnenna. Such a beautiful name, Nnenna. I think that's what her mom called her. Her parents were Nigerian, so I guess her mom and dad would have called her Nnenna. And so the correct Nigerian pronunciation of my name, if somebody wants to be a real purist here about this, is actually Nneka. Nneka. Now, when I hear Nigerians pronounce it, it's the most beautiful thing. They emphasize the first part of the word, so it's Nneka. I don't think I'm doing it justice here, but Nneka. I don't usually like telling people that pronunciation simply because when I do, people keep it flat. So they would say Nneka. But it's not really Nneka, I don't think, based on how I've heard Nigerians pronounce it. It's Nneka, Nneka. The first part is emphasized. And you know, when I hear Nigerians pronounce it, it's so beautiful, just so beautiful. I wish I could pronounce it like somebody from Nigeria. But anyway, not only do I love the sound of my name, I love the meaning behind my name. So as I mentioned, double N would usually represent something to do with mother. And I guess often could be in the sense of maybe women in general, mother as in woman. So my name means mother is prosperous. You could even translate it, woman is supreme. And if you want to put that in Creole English, because really the project that I'm rolling out right now is very much focused on Creole English, then you could say woman is boss. Woman is boss. And I know when I say that to other women from Trinidad, they love it. I don't know how the men feel, but women just love that, you know? So that's my name, you know? And if you want to take this discussion even further, I could tell you that my Spanish name is Nikita. And you know, when I attended a Spanish church when I was living in Montreal during my undergrad years, my Spanish speaking brothers and sisters called me Nikita, which I really liked. And if we're talking the Chinese side of things, Well, when I was learning Chinese in my undergrad years, one of my teachers, and as a matter of fact, she was from Taiwan, she thought long and hard about what name to give me. I think, I can't remember how long it took her to come up with the name, maybe a couple of days or a week or something like that. But she gave me the name Nneka. Nneka. Ni means Buddhist nun, Buddhist nun. And Kai means success. I think Ni means is it a flying nun? Is it flying nun, boy? I forget. Let me check. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. I will tell you. Why do I feel it's flying Buddhist nun or something like that? Let me see, because I've kind of forgotten. Let me see. Yeah, how could I forget my own name? Yeah, it could happen. All right, so where is it? Here it is. Here it is. Ni is girl, but I know it as like Buddhist nun, but it just means girl. But I know I've seen one definition as like a Buddhist nun. Funny that I'm not seeing it here. Let me do a different search just to double check. Different dictionary. Okay, am I seeing it? Yes, I am. Woman who is close. Can represent a maid. Oh, a maid. I hope a maid. I guess I mean like maiden, I'm assuming. So let me see something here. I'm gonna look for nun and see what I get, because funny, I've always known it as Buddhist nun. So this is kind of odd. Yeah. Okay, now I remember. Okay, so when you break apart the word ni, it carries the element that represents a woman, and then the part on the right, the part to the right of that represents a Buddhist nun. But if you take the whole word in its entirety, then it represents a girl. It's a phonetic in female names, a phonetic. So that was very clever of my teacher. Kind of reminds me of how Daniel and his friends were renamed when they went into the service, or were kind of captured and taken into the service of the Babylonian king and the Babylonian Empire. How do I feel about having a name connected with Buddhism when I'm a Christian? Doesn't really bother me. I mean, it's really just phonetic, my teacher just wanted to get me a name that sounded close enough to my name, but that was also meaningful. And for people in the Far East, Buddhism is something that they have a great deal of respect for. It's part of their culture, and it really doesn't bother me, to be honest. And Kai means victory. So let me look that up since I'm in looking up mode. Okay, I'm seeing it here. Yep, it means triumphant, victorious. And it could also be a Chinese surname. So I guess she gave me a name that could serve both as a first name, but to some extent like a first name and a first name and a surname. When I went to Taiwan is when I got my surname. You know, my Taiwanese friends helped me get a surname. So they call me Nneka. And in Chinese, the surname comes first and the first name comes second. So the opposite of how things work in the West. So I gotta tell you, Taiwanese people or Chinese people in general love that. Like my first name is I. Now, I should explain, you know, just like in English, you do have homonyms in Chinese. So you could have two words that sound exactly alike, same syllable, same tone. Chinese is a tonal language, so the tone is what gives a word, it gives any word its meaning. So you do have homonyms in Chinese that could have the same syllable and the same tone, but with different meaning and different script. So my name I in Chinese means mugwort or wormwood, which doesn't sound very nice, but it is a Chinese surname, okay? But I know why my Chinese friends gave me that name, because they gave me that name because it sounds like the word for love in Chinese, which is I. Same syllable, same tone. So when people in Taiwan called me Miss I, it always sounded interesting to them and they would chuckle because it sounded like Miss Love. Sounded like my name was Miss Love, you know? So yeah, so that's my name in a nutshell. So take your pick. Nneka, Nika, Nneka, Nikita, or Nikai, Nikai, Nikai. So that's it. That's my name in a nutshell. That's my name in a nutshell. Hope you enjoyed that, and I hope I answered your question. Until next time.